Big shot. He goes for the neck. He's down.
What is going on, guys? Welcome into the MattyBetss UFC preview show, and we have a special, and it's always special when we got a number next to the name. UFC 313 Pereira versus Ankalaev coming our way from Vegas this weekend, and I am excited for this. Of course, my name is Austin Swaim. I'm with FanDuel Research, and then, of course, joining me as always is the man, the myth, the long shot legend, Matty Tanner. So I'm going to bring him in. I'm going to ask him a different question than normal today. Matty, are you headed to Vegas for the fights this weekend?
I'm here right now, bro.
Okay, there we go.
I want to see the view.
Sure. Let's see. Always am down for the Vegas skyline. Oh, to be, I actually don't know if you're single by single, but to be not married and in Vegas again, single gambler's dream. So how you feeling about this card, bud? You excited? Obviously you made tickets out there. You're going to see the fights.
Bro.
You feeling good?
I feel good about it. I think it's going to be an entertaining card. It reminds me of the UFC Miami a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and I had a great time at that card, but I think it's going to be a good one. It sucks Dan Hooker's not fighting Gaethje, but I think this fight's going to still deliver. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, Gaethje Fiziev 1 was a good fight, so we kind of know what we're getting in the co-main event, that it'll be a good one. And yeah, obviously Poetan, it's like his second home is Vegas. There, you saw him at UFC 300 against Jamal Hill in Vegas, so he'll be back against Magomed Ankalaev. So we'll dive into some of those high-profile fights in a moment. Hopefully, we'll be able to look at some props and things like that. Interesting week for model results, and we got a lot of close fights on this card. I mentioned 5 of them are kind of in that pick 'em could go either way type of realm. Where like honestly the money line is pretty short, all things considered. So I'm wondering which ones you and I will be aligned on, which ones will be opposed on, and all that good stuff. So why don't we dive in? I have it here to the left of us anyway, so you don't need to see our faces any bigger, that's for sure. Jordan Santos taking on Ozzy Diaz. This will be the first fight up on the card at middleweight. Jordan Santos, my boy, I believed in him as a 3-1 underdog on the Contender Series, and he came through against Will Curry for me. Ozzy Diaz coming off his UFC debut, which honestly wasn't so fair to him. You see his weight right there. He was at light heavyweight. He took on Zhang Mingyang, who's got a couple of Chinese hammers on his hands as well. So he'll get a better second chance against Santos, but odds makers still think Jordan is going to get the win here. He is minus 205. So, Matty, what do you think about this first fight up here? Tough territory, I think, for a cycle pick.
Yeah, no, this fight ain't making the cycle. I kind of like Ozzy Diaz as like a dog or pass spot here.
Interesting.
I don't mind his performance against Joe Pyfer. I mean, he got put away, but in round 2, Minyan Zan, is he fighting? He just got announced the fight.
Oh, that's a great point. I'm gonna look that up. Well, what is he fighting? Anthony Smith? Yes, that is a homicide. No way.
Yeah, he is fighting Anthony.
Yep. Home fight's own Anthony Smith, right?
Yeah, Anthony's got to survive the first round. That's for sure. He's got to really weather the storm.
It's the co-main in Kansas City, so that's the official.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a tough fight for Anthony, but he's battled through some of them. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm not running to the counter to bet this first fight of the night here. But I'm leaning dog or pass.
Yeah, I don't actually know. I think I did end up playing this because I wanted to make sure I got ahead of the number with a fighter coming later. But I like Santos here. Like I think that Santos is to me, I thought he was underrated coming onto the Contender Series. And when he put some pretty high level stuff out there against a guy in Will Curry from Cage Warriors, that I think the assumption was that was like his free pass into UFC that didn't end up turning out to be very free. And Curry's more of a grappler. I don't know if Ozzy Diaz has. This is more of a striker's delight in this fight. I don't see Diaz as a guy with a lot of grappling upside, especially with the way Santos defended on the Contender Series. And Diaz is a lot bigger. I think he's probably got a power advantage here, but I do trust what I saw from Santos, some of the really good stuff that he did on the Contender Series, plus 2.94 striking success rate, almost 6 significant strikes landed per minute against an opponent that I think is at least fringe UFC level. Like, I don't think he was a total fraud or a bum in Curry. So I like Santos here. I don't know if I would lay 2-1 like on Santos straight, or like hammer a specific prop here. It'd be interesting what the total is. I haven't even put thought to it, but yeah, I'm leaning Santos here.
Yeah, I understand at a straight pick, but I'm kind of with you that I don't want to lay 2-1 on him, so that's just kind of why I'm just dog or pass here. I kind of feel like you're getting Ozzy Diaz at a buy low spot, and you're getting Santos at a higher spot. So
yeah. Under 2.5 rounds here, minus 138. And then, you look at some of the exact methods. Santos by points actually the most likely outcome. Then exactly the same odds on his KO, plus 280 for both of those. Ozzy by KO, plus 380. And then Santos by submission, plus 440. And then Diaz by points, plus 490. So really just, I love data. This is a fight that has very little quality about tendencies. Like, I can like Santos all I want, but if I told you early, late, he went the distance on the Contender Series, but the under's favored here, as a bettor that doesn't have a lot of film expertise and knowledge, I'm not very comfortable in this fight with props.
Yeah, that's fair.
Shall we move on?
Let's do it.
Okay. I the minute I said maybe no cycle, I was kind of like, well, we'll see what comes up. And I'll be interested to see if FanDuel has props for this guy, the second fight on the card. It is a bantamweight fight that really gets at least a lot more experience right away. Chris Gutierrez taking on John Sexy Mexi Castaneda. We saw Castaneda. He was scheduled a couple weeks ago it may have been last week, if I'm not mistaken, at the Apex, and then got pulled off of that card. Gutierrez stepping in here on short notice. We have this at bantamweight because these guys are 135ers. It's a catch weight at 145. I think this is a super tough competitive fight. The pick'em price doesn't disagree with that. So, Matty, who you got?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I mean, I kind of like Gutierrez when he was like plus 105, 110 range. Now it's tight, man. It's a pick 'em fight.
Yeah.
I kind of think if you're gonna play Gutierrez, though, you just go the decision prop, and I'm trying to see if I can find that number here in Vegas because it's not on FanDuel yet.
Oh my God.
What's that?
I missed it, dude. I've been out and about. I missed it. Gutierrez is minus 122 on FanDuel right now. Maybe he's taking chalk.
He's got a lot of sharp money, I think.
What the?
A lot of people I've talked to in Vegas since I've been here are keep bringing up this fight and saying that Chris is a hammer spot. I'm not so sure though, bro. Castaneda he's not someone that like is just gonna roll over in this fight. He's gonna try to close the distance a good bit here. Gutierrez, like 64% striking defense, 74% takedown defense, but he kind of makes some fights closer than they need to be. If you watch some of the tape. So
yeah,
this could be one of those classic fights we talk about that it's like all the sharp money moving the number comes in on him, and then it goes, and then the fight goes to Castaneda. So I'm not as confident as what a lot of people are making this fight to be on Gutierrez.
Yeah.
I don't love his fight style sometimes. I've bet on him by KO before, and it is frustrating.
Oh, yeah.
He will sit at range, and he will just try to point fight. So Castaneda is just kind of scrappy. So based on the current odds, so I can get Castaneda at like even money right now here in Vegas.
Yep.
Not that I'm willing to pull the trigger on that, but I'm not taking Gutierrez. I just feel like it could be an early trap on this card.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had been waiting, Matty, because this opened around a pick, and then Castaneda floated into that minus 120 range. I'm like, okay, well, I think I can wait to get Chris at a better number. And now all of a sudden, yeah, he's up into this minus 120. Maybe I'll look in a book, his lagged behind and kept him at minus 115. My model's got him at minus 140. I'm not overly surprised by that because Gutierrez got the better of Song You Don't Get Distance. Remember that weird round 5 where he pulled guard in that fight? And it was just the weirdest fight IQ type of approach from him. Yeah. But I think your point was good. Entry level takedown defense is pretty good for Castaneda. And I always go back to John, and I think I was taking his opponent. It's spacing me who it was now. that he was originally scheduled with that pulled out. But
Silva de Andrade.
Oh, that's right. A near 40-year-old De Silva. This fight, obviously, a tougher fight for him. And like, I just had a hard time pulling the trigger on him as extreme chalk in that one because I'm like, I don't know, because I go back to the Daniel Santos fight. It was kind of a wild barred burner. Felt like he was super hittable. The Daniel Marcos fight, we still don't know a ton about Marcos, even though I think we like him in general. Gutierrez is a guy I can trust him.
I mean, the dude's 17-0. At some point, we have to be like, all right, he wins fights. He's pretty good.
Yeah, but
yeah,
I was going to say something controversial. I think Gutierrez beats Marcos in a 3-round fight, dude. I think he chops away at that leg, and I feel better about Chris's head defense. My model's always love Gutierrez plus 2.08 striking success rate's going to do that. And like, I feel like, especially the level of competition is on his side. I understand why he's getting chalk now, but like, I've got this fight going the distance 70+% of the time. Could be very close. We've seen a lot of split decision comments in the chat, which I think are very appropriate. And by the way, I'm glad I don't know what happened. FanDuel sent me a new computer. All of a sudden, I can see all the chat comments again, so it makes our show significantly better than me trying to go to YouTube and see everything. But like, I do like Chris here. I'm going to see if I can get a -115 off the books, but yeah, I don't think a split's a bad decision here, but I understand you not wanting to lay chalk.
Yeah, I can't find that prop here in Vegas. Someone said MGM here, but it's not up on Vegas MGM, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think it is released.
Let me see. Do we have props? Yeah, no props on this guy yet. This is the most recent fight on the card because it came together Monday or so. So I wasn't surprised by that.
All right, what do you think this over 2.5 is going to be price tagged? This is probably going to be pretty expensive.
I'm guessing like at least -250. If I had to guess. And that's a little bit above where I've got it modeled per se, but like Gutierrez is a guy that I would feel more confident if you could bet specific knockout types, Matty. I'd be more confident in a leg kick TKO than I would be one with his hands. As in, like, he chops the other guy's leg off versus punching him out cold. Like, did he get like a flying knee or something on Frankie Edgar or something like that? He's not really a powerful puncher.
He can find those highlight knockouts, but like, it doesn't come from punching, that's for sure. And it's like in the perfect spots. Like, it's not like he don't chase the knockout. Let's just say that.
Yeah, just such a classic Factory X guy. You think of Royval, you think of Jonathan Martinez has left the gym, but the older prime version of Jonathan Martinez, chop away at the leg, ton of kicks, good cardio, good takedown defense. Like, I feel like I know what I'm getting with Gutierrez. Castaneda is a little bit more of a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Can you put that comment up there, Matty? Matty does not work for FanDuel. I do, and I've been very transparent about that. I cannot bet on FanDuel, all of the responsible gaming tools and things like that. I'm just doing this to try to help you guys, and I am allowed to bet on other books myself in states that are legal, but I do mostly do this as an assistance. And by the way, FanDuel usually has the best numbers, so I tell you to go there just because it got the best numbers. So I will always tell you to shop around. FanDuel encourages me to do so because it's a smart strategy for responsible gaming. So Matty doesn't work for FanDuel.
I do not work for any apps.
I think I need to make that clear because there are people that will get really tinfoil hatty very quickly about some of the other stuff. But interesting fight. I understand you don't want to lay chalk. And Matty, I guess maybe we'll see where the line goes this weekend. It could go. Who knows? We've seen some crazy.
I wouldn't be surprised Castaneda is plus 125 by Saturday. Truthfully.
Yeah. I agree with you, bro. And it's like we've seen some weird line movement. Think about Sam Patterson last week against Danny Barlow. He closed like plus 150 after being like plus 225. I'm not supposed to laugh at that word, but I'm laughing at that word. We'll keep moving here. We'll move forward. But it's a good fight, and I certainly think it's a good one to tune into the early prelims for. As is this one, though, at featherweight. A fight I've been waiting all week to get Matty's take on. Myron Santos comes off the Ultimate Fighter. Looks super impressive. Second round KO of Con Ofley. Now we're going to kind of throw him into the actual UFC pool against a guy in Francis Fire Marshall who feels like not too long ago had the prospect hype himself. Isaac Dolgarian kind of stole it. But I think this is such an interesting fight of two guys below 25. Both honestly could be future ranked guys by their tools, by their age, what they've shown so far. And Santos is minus 350 to win this fight. So, Matty, is this classic Ultimate Fighter steam, or do you think Myron is good chalk here?
I like Myron in general. What's the number right now?
It's minus 350.
No, it's definitely expensive. I mean, when you just look at Francis Marshall, he's racked up some experience now against some decent competition. I mean, he fought William Gomes, right?
Yeah.
He fought William Gomes, Isaac Dolgarian, Dennis Bajuka. I mean, Connor Matthews even. I mean, he's racked up some experience now. So, like, I think the odds are a little disrespectful in that regard, but it just shows that, like, Santos, I think, is special striking.
Yep.
His KO in his last fight was pretty sick. Very quick on the feet. And he's also faced decent opposition outside of the UFC, or at least solid opposition.
Yep.
I think if you go Santos, you're going to go inside the distance prop here, maybe the KO prop, depending on the number. But, yeah, as far as a money line pick here, I'm staying away from that type of chalk in this fight.
So I put a small bet on Francis Marshall at plus 275. It's closed a little bit here. Obviously, I can't model Santos in his UFC debut, so don't have that going for me. But I in general have been the not Francis Marshall guy. He's very inefficient on the feet, 34% striking accuracy, lowest on this card. And there's not exactly like great high-level strikers on this card, but Marshall definitely has the wrestling upside here. It doesn't feel that way because of how the Dolgarian fight went, but there is a chance, I think, that Santos and his takedown defense, he could just spend this entire fight on his back. Like, to me, if I can get a guy in Marshall that could look minus 300 at plus 255, I think it's worth a look. But Marshall's shown good cardio. He showed good heart. His worst matchup outside the rankings at 145 might be Gomi because he's so long. He's so frustrating. He's hard to hit. And this is a guy that can't hit anything if, he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat already. It's about as frustrating of a matchup as it'll get for him. I don't know why UFC made this fight, because if they wanted to prop up Santos, there were much easier fights for Santos, including, I'd argue, Dennis Bazooka or a Connor Matthews, who was on the roster.
Connor Matthews, for sure, I would have made that fight.
I just can't trust the Ultimate Fighter guys. I really can't, because they are fighting guys that haven't had a sort of UFC high-level career. They're not put on the Contender Series, which is UFC's new baby about who they want to prop up. I have a hard time. We'll talk about in the future. We'll talk about Ryan Loader, the wrestling guy that beat Valentine on Ultimate Fighter, and now Myron Santos was that same card. And I'm just like, man, minus 350 is too expensive, and it's a small bet because I don't trust Marshall. But man, this price is pretty crazy.
And as the fight goes on, it's going to favor Marshall. I honestly want to play Santos round 1-2 KO. Will be the only way I would play him. I don't trust him to win late, and I don't even know that I trust him to win a decision in this fight either. Sure. I think he's got to find a hook to the chin or something early. He's got to find a big shot early, and he has clean striking. Round 1 KOs plus 550, round 2's plus 800. I would look at maybe sprinkling those 2 rounds and see if he can just get it, maybe even get him out of there before he gets taken down or on an entry coming in or something. But that's where I would lean if I was going to play Santos in this fight.
Who do you think has the power edge here?
I think Santos has crisper, more precision and natural power. And Marshall probably has I don't know. I think Santos, but
it'll be interesting because Marshall, we haven't really seen his chin tested, and Santos is a guy that will do so in earnest. So if you think maybe Francis is a little chinny, I feel like he's been pretty durable thus far. He's been willing to walk through the fire against a guy like Bazooka or some of the guys he's faced have just been absolutely Dolgarian has as much power, at least in his takedowns and his overhand rights, as anybody in the division. He's just such a big, strong dude, So interesting. Myron Santos by points, the most likely outcome here, plus 130. I'm looking at Marshall by points, plus 470, and it's I don't know. Maybe if Santos is totally devoid on the ground, you think sub, but I don't see Marshall finishing this fight. So if you like him, why not play plus 470 on the decision for a tenth of a year,
Yeah, he's 4 subs, but they haven't come any. I mean, his last sub was 2022.
Yeah.
Any recent good competition, he's not subbing.
Nope.
His subs are all basic rear naked chokes from years ago.
Yeah. And the tendency is just okay. 0.5 attempts per 15 minutes. That's not very high volume. So,
hey, I'll tell you one thing though. Francis Marshall round 3 submission plus 4,300. Now we're talking an angle right there. That I can get behind if Santos doesn't get him out and gasses a little bit.
Yeah.
That could happen. A round 3 rear naked choke at 43-1. I might have to, just put a little sprinkle on it.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like Myron. I think it'll be interesting how he showed really good takedown defense on the Ultimate Fighter, not his most recent fight, but the Torres fight on the Ultimate Fighter showed really good takedown defense. But how about this 3rd round ground and pound loss to Dan Argueta on the ground, bro? And it's this back in.
Wait, say that again.
Dan Argueta in LFA finished him 2022 3rd round with ground strikes.
Wow.
So Marshall, I mean, like if there's a cardio thing going on, maybe I'll try to find that fight. If Marshall round 3 alone is 28-1. So
yeah, you better off. Well, yeah, better. Yeah, no, you're probably better off just taking the 28-1.
That's a big number. We'll see. I'll have to go back and check and see if some of the cardio stuff is legit, or maybe it was just I feel like Argueta is a better wrestler than Marshall, so it could be tough to replicate that result. But
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Interesting fight. I'm glad. I think we're both kind of like leaning long shot type of dart rather than like Myron Santos in the safe parlay, which is not something I would do in a million years.
Yeah,
we'll move forward. By the way, RIP safe parlay on how that Cop Almabayev fight ended last week. I had the Patterson Barlow under was razor sharp. Like obviously those guys were not going to go the distance.
Oh my God, bro.
And then the eye poke not called. Almabayev tries to get time. I swear. I bet on more fighters that stop fighting because they're fouled and end up getting finished. If they would just continue defending themselves, I feel like Almabayev would have been much better off, but he ended up not defending himself. Cop caught him with an overhand right. And that was
I don't think Almabayev had anything for him though.
I just needed to fight to go the distance.
Defense, but the eye pokes are. I was telling Gilbert and Moicano on the pod. I was like, the eye pokes right now is arguably like the biggest problem in the whole sport.
Yeah,
like you can't really find. I mean, outside of like Sal D'Amato and bullshit judging, like the eye pokes are legitimately one of the worst problems in the whole sport of MMA right now. It's pretty sad.
Well, and this is where I want to be very clear. Matty doesn't employ me. I don't speak for Homofight. I speak as Austin. And you put all this R&D into these new gloves. They suck for eye pokes in the first place. And then you stop using them because you have a 3 or 4 month sample where there weren't any knockouts. And there were a lot of different reasons there weren't knockouts and things like that. So now we're back at square one with everybody getting poked in the eye again. And they spent all that thousands on gloves that they're not going to have anymore. And they didn't fix the problem in the first place. It's like Hayden said this to me perfectly. He says, he told me, he's like, well, the UFC's got to be first. So they can't just copy the Pride gloves that come over the top of the finger and that they're perfect so you don't get poked in the eye. UFC can't just copy that design, even though it would eliminate the problem entirely.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I'm just, it boggles my mind. And what I tell people is this sport is still in the leather helmet version. If you think of the NFL and like the leather helmets, that's how new UFC is relative to the NFL and like their growth cycle. There are so many stupid things that we do that we will not be doing in this sport from 50 years from now, hopefully because I'm in charge of it and after Dana's retired. But that's a discussion for another day. Why don't we move on here and talk about this welterweight fight between Carlos Leal taking on Alex Morono, your boy, who cashed you that guillotine against Tim Means in round 2.
Hey, that guillotine right now. Guess what the fucking number is? I just looked at it.
Like an exact guillotine?
An exact guillotine.
You got to give me time to like look at the submission prop and.
I'll tell you. So the submission. I'll tell you the submission.
Okay. It is 24-1 on FanDuel.
24-1 on the submission.
24-1 on FanDuel. Yeah.
The guillotine is 33-1 here in Vegas.
Wow, that's interesting. I
normally gets them, but I think he might have. What else is he? He has seven submission wins in his career. He does have that triangle in his back pocket. He's a triangle and an arm bar.
He's a good BJJ player.
So big and strong though. Like
that's
a tank of a guy. Are you going to arm bar him or like? I feel like that guillotine is the one chance, but you would Carlos Leal would have to do something so stupid to get guillotined in this fight.
Sure.
But I think that's like Morono's path to victory somehow, is Carlos to do something dumb and then him to wrap up that guillotine. Because otherwise, you might have a different opinion. I think I saw one of your messages in Telegram or something, but I know the odds are super wide, but I just like looking at this fight. Carlos should have won his last fight. That was probably going to go down as one of the biggest robberies in MMA history, in all honesty. I was on the other side, and I thought I lost. I heard a 30-27 scorecard, and I thought I lost my bet. And somehow I won on Fakardinov. That was such a bad decision. And but I just don't know how Alex Morono beats him. Like, he's got pillow fist compared to how hard Carlos hits. All of his striking numbers. I mean, and Morono looks a little bit out of shape in his recent fights. Like,
right.
And Morono's my guy, bro. I hit the 20-something, 30-1 round 2 sub against Tim Means.
Right.
Then I've dropped some money on him recently, in some of his recent fights. He did go the distance with Buckley, but it was very close to getting stopped. I think he got hurt a lot in that, like late in that fight. And then he just didn't look impressive against Nico Price. He looked out of shape. Daniel Rodriguez, split decision. The Ponzinibbio fight, I think, was his most impressive performance, and he just got caught late in round 3, So, like, he's very streaky, bro. He has some wins that I really like and some wins that I'm just like, what the hell? And, like, this number is insane, but I don't know what to do with it.
And the reason why I don't bet fights right away when I'm like kicking stuff around or I'm not sure, I can't model it or anything like that, is I did message the Telegram earlier this week and I'm like, man, that's a big number against a guy like Morono. But then I think to myself and I'm like, wait a minute, do I really want to play an aging guy from my least favorite gym in the sport in Fortis MMA that hasn't looked like he's been in shape? And honestly, I think Morono's always kind of been a guy who, with better conditioning, probably could have fought at lightweight, right? He's always been a little bit undersized here.
Oh, for sure.
Like him next to Buckley was almost looked like 2 weight classes apart. You know what I mean? Because Buckley's so big for 170, and it's like
he had nothing for Buckley.
Yeah, he had nothing for Buckley. And like Leal was so impressive in his debut against a guy in Fakhretdinov who, like you mentioned, we've been very high on. And like I know Renat's striking is not very pretty, but that is an ugly, grindy fight. He takes that fight in Fakhretdinov's backyard in Abu Dhabi, gets the robbery. I feel like Leal's athleticism and his explosion, like what would Fakhretdinov be about Morono? By the way, guys, I know the slide info is way wrong. We'll have to fire someone. We'll fire an intern. Back in the day, this slipped my radar with all the tech stuff I've had going on today. It's been a day, so I apologize that
we actually fucked up slides on purpose just for engagement in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just making sure you guys aren't asleep, that you're paying attention. But like. Leal was so impressive in that fight. Landed over 7 significant strikes. I
didn't realize the weight was wrong too.
Everything is wrong. Everything is wrong. Yeah. Morono looks 5'9".
Except the odds. I think the odds are pretty accurate.
They are. Yeah, Leal is minus 750 right now on Fano. I'll be interested to see what is inside the distance for Leal here, because Morono's shown to be a little chinny. I maybe knockout is a better play than ITD. So Leal KO is minus 105 here. So it's pretty short. Minus 140 inside the distance. I think that's a better number to just get all outcomes covered if you like Leal. But at the end of the day,
Morono's never been submitted in his career. I just don't see Leal being the guy to do that. I would just go to KO prop.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Early or late? I feel like Morono's a guy.
I'm not playing that KO prop at that number, truthfully. What's the decision?
That's interesting, because he found a way to hang on against Buckley. Leal points
plus 150. It's probably better than FanDuel. What's the number?
What decision? It's plus 190 for Leal.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Everyone's taking the KO. Sign me up on the decision. Morono made the distance against Buckley. He's a tough guy. I mean, he does get chinny at times, but I mean, how many times has this guy been finished in his career?
And I will say, the thing that I noticed when I was thinking about a Morono angle here, you look at the Sadabusi fights, went the full distance. Ray Cooper went the full distance. When he's faced higher level guys in PFL or otherwise, it's typically fights that have gone longer. Renat obviously went the distance as well. Yeah. So it feels a little. He was folded by Ponzinibbio, and we just got that comment, but
go watch that fight, bro. He was up 2 rounds to 0. That was, like I said, short notice, up 2 rounds to 0, and I think that's the best he's looked in the last fucking 3 years outside of the Tim Means fight.
Well, he's really hit that age curve. He's now 34, a little bit older, never the most athletic guy. It could get pretty ugly from here. So it's like,
I'm going Carlos Leal by decision. I'm actually open to to tabling that and looking at it for the cycle. I mean,
Interesting.
Morono doesn't really get finished that often, bro. When this is the Anthony Pettis, Chaos Williams landed a bomb on him
In
back
the first, yeah.
2020. That's Chaos Williams. He is
Yep.
crazy power, but you know, D-Rod goes a distance. Nico Price, Buckley is really fucking good these days. Ponzinibbio just got caught late. I mean, I could see a world where that happens. You know, if you guys want to play Leal round 2-3, I don't hate that at all. 2-3 KO. But if you're gonna give me plus 190 on the decision versus minus 110 or whatever it is on the KO, I'm going decision. If those numbers are opposite, I'm just going the KO. I'm just playing the number in that regard. So I do like the plus 190 by decision here.
I totally agree. I mean, we'll circle back. I got some decisions to throw at you for later from the model, but we'll circle back. It is an interesting fight, but I avoided the Morono shot here. I just realized I didn't want to hitch my wagon to it. This is those are the value darts that I've been taking. You talk about me having a bad year and everybody's like, Austin, your picks suck. You're down 25 units or whatever. Those are the decisions I've been making, I think, that I want to adjust away from, which is like, yeah, I do think there's value on Morono's money line, but do I actually think he's got a legitimate path to win this fight? No, because he's not the more athletic guy. He hasn't been winning rounds or points. Like he goes to a split decision with D-Rod. D-Rod is significantly more one-dimensional than Leal and not nearly the athlete. So it's like, how do I think he's going to win this fight?
Yeah. 100%.
And that's the adjustment I'm trying to make. We'll see if it ends up working, and I can find green here, UFC 313, like we're all trying to. This fight will be very important if I am going to find green. It was my first bet of the week. I love this fight here between Armin Petrosyan and Bruno the Hulk Ferreira, middleweight. Hulk smash, not quite in his last fight. Abus Magomedov was able to submit him in the third round, withstanding a couple of big shots, but ended up not going his way. And then Armin Petrosyan was on the wrong side of that. Sharo Magomedov double back fist heard round the world, and Petrosyan now has dropped consecutive fights by finish. So these guys aren't trending in the right direction per se. I was able to model this, but Matty, what do you think with Petrosyan as a minus 156 favorite here?
I mean, it's kind of, I think Bruno's becoming like one of the more popular dogs I've seen, and I get why, because I think he's a higher finishing upside. He's got wrestling. Question is he going to use it?
Sure.
Petrosyan's coming off of the knockout loss, right? The what's his name? The Shara.
Shara, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons to like Bruno as a dog here, honestly. I think if you're going to play Petrosyan, you maybe go decision or maybe late finish. But I think there's a lot of reasons to like Bruno. He has a lot of the finishing upside. The guy fucking puts away people. Like he was getting tagged against Dustin.
Yep.
And then just puts him away. Phil Hawes, we're not going to put a lot of stock into that finish, but the RoboCop one obviously has aged very well. I hate that he got subbed late against Abus Magomedov. I just hate that result, but I mean, it's not something that Armin has in his pocket. So I gotta go Bruno Ferreira here as a dog.
Yeah, absolutely. I that was my first bet of the week. I got Ferreira at plus 140, I want to say. I got him at a much better number than this. And like the reason why I took the money line and took that plunge is because I do think he's got a decision path here with his wrestling. He attempts about 3.1 takedowns per 15 minutes. Petrosyan's takedown defense is the worst at middleweight, minimum a guy with 5 fights. It's 31%. It's awful. Like he was giving up takedowns to AJ Dobson. He gave up quite all that control time, of course, to a guy like Kyle Borralho, but got easily taken down and submitted by Rodolfo Vieira. I don't know if the Hulk smash round 1 KO angle is the play here, because I think we haven't seen all of Ferreira's tools. The guy's allegedly a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We'll see how that manifests itself. We know he's got the huge power. That much is certain. And Petrosyan, now he's 34. I have to worry about chin concerns. I know his takedown defense sucks, and it really feels like his upside to win this fight is leg kicking the heck out of Bruno from the outside. And it's like, do I want to pay minus 156 for that? Absolutely not. So I've been on some trendy underdogs. Some have hit, some haven't. Like you and I both love Cody Brundage last week. He was a pretty popular pick in the MMA betting space, but ended up coming through because Cody was the more durable athletic guy in that fight. He was able to withstand some adversity. And I feel that way about Ferreira here, is that I don't think Petrosyan is going to have him in trouble at all in this fight. He might win it on points, but Ferreira almost certainly is going to have a flurry or a moment somewhere that's going to have Petrosyan in deep water.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, he could be losing this fight until he isn't,
Yeah.
And it's hard to go against him when he just has more ways to win. I think he should come out and shoot a double leg right off the bat. Just be explosive, get on top position, start damaging Petrosyan. Like, you just don't want to strike with him for that long. You don't need to.
Yeah. When you are a guy like Ferreira, we know he's got the exciting round 1 KO. Nobody complains about the way this dude fights. Doesn't his stock almost go up if he fights a more responsible fight and takes care of a guy who's really good on the feet in Petrosyan with an adult game plan? Like, my stock on Bruno would go up in that sort of fight.
Yeah. No,
that's how everybody beats Petrosyan. So I thought, depending on the number here, Ferreira's submission was like a long shot that I was going to consider. It's said plus 750 points is plus 800. That means double chance is going to be sick. It is plus 390 subber points. I almost want to do that and fade the KO with Bruno, even though I'm on the money line. So it's like, I have a hard time picking whether or not I want to do that. I'm glad I'm on the money line, and I think plus 120 is good. I have Bruno modeled. It's a stupid number. I have him modeled minus 150 here. And by the way, 68.6% likely to not go the distance.
Wow. Yeah. I like the fight to not go the distance. Because I think even if Petrosyan's kind of coasting, he could even maybe win late. What's the number to not go the distance?
Minus 225. So I'm going to compare here.
Yeah.
I'm going to see what I'm looking at. So that's about 69% implied. I'm almost right in line with odds makers. I'm almost exactly. Yeah. Funny how my stupid made up model can almost match the exact percentage that this fight may or may not go the distance at FanDuel. Crazy how that happens. I thought you had to watch film in order to know how to bet UFC. But moving on, I'll move forward. I'll get off my soapbox and we'll talk about this next fight up because it is a show favorite. We all love Josh Van here, but I think they matched him up with a high enough level prospect in this flyweight battle that I don't think we can automatically click Josh Van here. Ray Tsuruya is too talented, too young. It's crazy. Look at these guys' ages. Neither of them have turned 24 yet. Yeah. And they are both so high up in the flyweight rankings. Like, these are guys that almost certainly will be in the top 15 for a majority of their career. Josh has already fought such high-level competition. Tsuruya's debut against Carlos Hernandez, not super impressive, but he's only plus 154 here. So odds makers aren't willing to put Josh Van in prohibitive territory here. I guess my question then is, are you?
I love Josh Van, bro. I love him here. Go back and watch Ray's fight against go watch the round 1 in his last fight. Who did he just fight again?
Josh Van. He fought Dirt.
Not Josh.
Oh,
Van.
Hernandez.
Carlos Hernandez. Yeah. Go back and watch that round 1. Like, I understand Ray's super talented. He's got good grappling, but Carlos Hernandez literally picked him up and slammed him in that first round. And to me, it's like you're going up against Josh Van, who's going to have better boxing than almost anyone in the division. He's got 80% takedown defense. And it's like, are you going to finish him on the ground? If you do get him down, I don't think he is. I don't even know if he gets him down. I think he's projected. I think it's 2.5 takedowns. I have to look at a DFS.
Yeah.
But I don't see it, bro. I don't see it. I'm not willing to fade Josh Van. No chance. I did it with Cody Durden. It was stupid. This guy's the real deal, bro. He's the real deal. His boxing's elite. Takedown defense is great. Good center of gravity. He's only getting better every fight. I think that loss to Charles Johnson was kind of a good loss for his career. I think he's rebounded very well from it. He's only gotten better. I would take him 100% in a rematch of that fight, no doubt in my mind. And I think that these grapplers are a good matchup for him.
Yeah.
He's going to have the better striking. He's got great takedown defense. I don't understand how you can take a dog shot here. So maybe I'll look stupid. I think if he does get the takedowns, he has to find some way to sub him. Otherwise you're just not going to beat him on the scorecards.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are right or wrong against each other so often on this show that I never go there. But I told you I loved his anti-wrestling against Cody Durden. Isn't at this point Cody Durden a much better version of Ray Tsuruya? Like that's how I feel entering this fight. And I feel like Durden's takedowns are better. I feel like his cardio is better. I feel like his striking is better. And Josh Van just beat the brakes off Cody Durden, right? Like what is Tsuruya?
I was at that fight, and
Yeah.
it was. I'm surprised he didn't get the finish. Cody's a tough motherfucker, dude.
Yeah, he put insane significant strike numbers out there as well. He was well over 150. I forget exactly what it is. I could look it up, but I love Josh Van here, dude. I was gonna throw this out there. I think I'm going money line for the safe parlay with Van this week at -200. I feel like it's a good plug in there. And I always do this with Josh. I love round 2, 3. And the reason why, even though this is flyweight, there's usually a decision trend, is that these guys, they wrestle him and they get tired. He goes to the body. He works toward liver shots. Like everything about Josh Van's kit says round 2, 3 finish. And it didn't hit against Cody Durden because Durden was super tough. Here's a guy in Tsuruya, 22 years old, looked like he was struggling at the end of that Hernandez fight. I think he's got a little bit of quit in him, and I've told you this before. Fade, road to UFC, guys. If Rinya Nakamura ended up a total fraud and he couldn't get through Muin Gafarov, I do not believe in any of these guys. Like we saw Anshul Jubilee on the last pay-per-view, right? Ultimate Road to UFC champ got put out in seconds by Quillen Salkild. So it's like, I don't think those guys. I don't think that. I don't think that those guys. Oh my god, I lost my train of thought. Right here on live TV. Hey, that's the kind of day it's been. Oh, I don't think that these guys have the skills at the requisite UFC level. Like we see Josh Van coming from Fury FC and better minor league promotions. Don't disrespect Jubilee. I'm going to disrespect Angel Jubilee on this show. I think he fully deserves it after that last fight. But I love Josh Van here. Got to always sprinkle round 2-3 KO because he doesn't really have a sub tendency in 2-3 KO. I'm going to look at it in this fight. I think it'll be pretty good since he's only -192. It's +900, +1400. I like both of those numbers, quarter unit on each from yours truly.
Yeah, bro. I'm in on Josh Van. I like him a lot.
Yeah, and more than likely, divisional trends say points, and that's why I think the money line is the play in the safe parlay. And I don't ever advocate parlaying, guys, but I honestly think I'd lay -200 straight with Josh Van. 2 units to win one. Feels fine to me. I'm
fine with that as well.
Yeah.
I like Josh Van by decision, but it also scares me because like if Ray's not getting them takedowns, bro, you don't want to be standing for 15 minutes with this guy.
Yeah.
Like you just don't, not everyone is as tough as Cody Durden, and Van could get the KO. The KO is +280, decisions +160.
Can you put that comment in chat? Got to admit that fight with Jubilee was stopped too early. Bud's head bounced off the canvas like a basketball. Okay, if you want to talk about early stoppages, Asu Almabayev's on a single leg takedown last week as the fight is stopped. Like he was defending himself and advancing toward a takedown, and the fight was stopped. That's an early stoppage. Buddy's head bounced off the canvas like a basketball. I'm not going early stoppage there. So enough about Angel Jubilee, and hopefully enough about Road to UFC. And Josh Van is able to cruise through there for us. And on to our featured prelim, Matty. Should be an interesting one here at heavyweight. I have a specific conspiracy theory tinfoil hat. I should have made up a tinfoil hat about this fight. Curtis Blaydes taking on Rizvan Kuniev. Kuniev coming off the Contender Series. How about a top 5 heavyweight in the world for you? Of course, Curtis didn't go his way last July against Aspinall in the interim title fight for UFC heavyweight that is defended. It's kind of weird what happened there. But honestly, I think it was a title fight for Curtis Blaydes. Went out in round 1. Still, Tom Aspinall's so good, it's like you have a hard time holding it against him. But now, can he rebound here against a guy in Kuniev that has had success in PFL? He comes off the Contender Series. Odds makers think so. He's -370 to win here. What do you think about this fight, bud? Because it's just a weird fight.
It's such a weird fight that I'm like, is it that crazy that Rizvan fucking KOs Curtis Blaydes? Like,
no, it's not crazy.
I don't think it's that crazy, bro. I've been looking at that number like all week because it's a fucking massive number. Let me pull it up again so I don't misquote it. I don't know, dude, because like Curtis Blaydes should win this fight, you know, especially if this guy's not roided up this time. I mean, he should win this fight. But man, that KO plus 650, Curtis Blaydes, every time he loses, it's because he gets chinned.
Sure.
Like every loss in Curtis Blaydes' career is just against power punchers. He beats everyone else. I don't know that Rizvan's necessarily like a power puncher, but he can knock out guys. You know, he can also get ground and pound. Plus 650 is an insane number to me. Curtis Blaydes, who continues to age and has continued to look chinny at times. But this could be a fight that Curtis Blaydes just kills him. You know, so it is tough. Moicano's talk, I think, because Rizvan's an American top team now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so Moicano's talking a little bit about him. He said he hasn't really seen him train, but that KO number is just staring at me, bro. I'm gonna be honest.
It's heavyweight, man. They're not there every day like Moicano is. That's for sure. I mean, you and I are a couple big dudes. Like I'm not in the gym training as much as Renato Moicano and how he looks. You know, he's at the gym every single day. But like, look at Kuniev on this thumbnail we got from the Contender Series, where he was blown up like a sack of potatoes after the PED suspension. Right. Here's my tinfoil hat conspiracy here. Rizvan Kuniev goes out and he beats pretty thoroughly Renan Ferreira in PFL, the guy who ended up fighting Francis Ngannou for the Battle of the Giants, and Francis made it look easy and seem how great everything is, right? I think that he is making Curtis Blaydes fight this guy from PFL to show this is UFC. And this is one of our guys that can't even contend for a title. And look what he's going to do to this fat sack of blob that we throw his way. I love Curtis Blaydes' KO here. I think he's going to stop him. Interesting. All 4 fights that Curtis Blaydes has somebody's attempted a takedown against him, because it's not often. Like, guys don't shoot a lot of takedowns at heavyweight. You certainly don't want to get in a wrestling match with Curtis Blaydes. He's 4-0 in those fights. So if Kuniev comes out and he tries to take him down, we saw Almeida have some success with that, but we also saw what happened to Jailton Almeida when Blaydes kind of realized, I can just be violent in this position. And the thing you get with Almeida is excellent conditioning, ability to do it over and over again. I feel like Kuniev's got about 7 takedown attempts at him total before he's completely gassed. It's a little bit of Shamil Gaziev type of thing from this, you know, a similar part of the case. He's from Dagestan. He doesn't train with Khabib and those guys anymore. Obviously, he's at AT&T, but I love Blaydes in this fight. Obviously, high level experience I think favors him. And the other thing is Blaydes has just been really improved at distance. Outside of Sergey Pavlovich didn't go his way, Aspinall didn't go his way, but I remember how he flattened Chris Daukaus at distance, and like he's really only losing to the best of the best. I can't come away from that Kuniev fight on the Contender Series and feel like this dude is even a ranked guy, much less the best of the best. I think this is Dana showing off to get a guy from PFL absolutely stomped. I love Blaydes here, KO, and I'm thinking like round 2, so it's hard if I want to decide early or late because I think it's going to be round 2, but I'm interested to see some of the numbers here.
Yeah, I mean Curtis Blaydes, he only loses to the elite power punchers: Derek Lewis, Pavlovich, Tom Aspinall, Francis Ngannou. Those are his losses. Literally, those are his only losses.
Yeah,
you know, and all those guys are starching this dude. So, I'm not opposed to a KO prop in the cycle A in this fight in general. Obviously, we lean towards the Curtis Blaydes sides, but once we want crazy upside, but I mean, you do get the on the feet potential KO as well as the ground and pound here out of Curtis Blaydes. So
yeah,
I do like it.
Yeah, I will say Kuniev.
That plus 650 number was crazy for a heavyweight fight like this. You know, it just stuck out to me.
Well, because Blaydes has been a little chinny before. I will say in general, Curtis's head defense is very, very good, like 58%. So he's a hard guy to hit, but Derek Lewis landed that uppercut. And the interesting part of this fight is I don't think Blaydes is going to shoot. I think Blaydes is more than happy to take this fight at distance, which is not usually how he fights. But I invite anybody that's betting this fight, go back and watch Kuniev against Renan Ferreira. Ferreira is not a ground guy at all. Ended up reversing Kuniev at one point. He had him pretty deep in what I believe was an armbar. It was something from the bottom, and then Kuniev was able to scramble out of it. But like, these are dangerous situations against a guy in Ferreira that doesn't fight on the ground at all. Curtis Blaydes lives there. So I wouldn't discount. It's been a while since we've seen Blaydes on top, just pound the shit out of some guy like Alistair Overeem way back in the day. I'm dating myself with that, but like I think there are a lot of methods to Blaydes KO. And by the way, he's never attempted a UFC submission attempt, so I'm good to just take the KO props. I don't think it's in his kit.
The thing about Curtis Blaydes is like we can count on him to go for it. You know.
Yep.
His decision is against durable guys. I mean, Alexander Volkov. But like if he gets on top, he's gonna land vicious damage on you. You know. Yep. What was his other decision?
Rosenstrike. Yeah. His eye was fucked up in that fight. It was blown up. You know.
Yeah. And Jairzinho has proven cardio and a gas tank, and this guy, as long as this guy's getting tested, I think I'm liking this Curtis Blaydes KO. I think he sold me, bro.
I think it's a good one to put in the cycle just because I personally am not sure if I would play like 1, 2, or 2, 3 here. I'd love to have them all, and that you get it all with putting it in the cycle. So we'll kind of have to get creative for our props if we do that. Like with a submission, it's another tough card for a submission, man. Other than I guess we'll talk about Poetan later and see what the number looks like and if you even like it or not this time, because I know you're always playing Poetan sub. But before we get onto the main card and onto Poetan and all of the good stuff to come, a quick reminder from me that make sure to check out our home of picks process. Our boys Hayden and Nolan have been crushing it this year. They are up a combined 13.39 units, down to the 100th of a unit for you. That means $100 bettors are up $1,339 this year alone. If you're interested in seeing what they're all about and trying them out for free, you can use code 313 at checkout to give you 7 days free. That'll get you all the way through UFC 313. We got a link there as well in the YouTube comment section, or you can visit at the HOF Picks on Twitter. Again, I don't sell picks, but I do respect the heck out of Nolan and Hayden's fight IQ. They actually watch film. They are pros. That's why they are up 13 units this year, and Austin's model isn't yet, but it's coming. We had a red hot summer last year, and I think when the temperature heats up, Austin's model is going to heat up a little bit as well. So, I wonder how much of it is. I've been so distracted. I do a lot of stuff for the NFL draft. It's obviously, I had a lot of guys running in shorts at the combine last week, so I was doing a lot of stuff with that. But yeah, hopefully we get it turned around. And I think this fight may be a good place to do so, Matty. Well, hopefully we can avoid betting another fighting nerd striker by sub like we did John Silva here with Mauricio Ruffy. Maybe you like sub. I don't know, and I just ruined it for you. But Ruffy is a large favorite here.
I'm done betting these fighting nerds by sub, bro. I'm fucking finished with it.
Wait. We can keep Caio, right?
I bet Caio Bravo by sub. Perfect matchup for him to get a sub. He doesn't even fucking look for it against Castaneda. He said, "Oh, I'm just gonna fucking outstrike this dude for 5 rounds." I'm done. These fighting nerds guys, I'm going double chance KO decision every fucking time because they don't want submissions, bro. They just don't. They literally don't want submissions.
Yeah, I don't hate that amendment to our process. We're already locked into John Silva KO against Bryce Mitchell. Like we already told him we were gonna throw it in the cycle, so we're kind of locked in. We'll see. Are we feeling that way about Mauricio Ruffy KO? He's taking on King Green. I got to be sure to respect the legal name change there for the artist formerly known as Bobby King, whatever you want to call him. He's now 38. He's coming off that weird submission loss that some people looked a little bit bogus and phony in London against Paddy Pimblett. But Paddy showed off his ground skills in that fight. Is King Green able to rebound here against a guy in Ruffy that maybe some people are selling a little bit because he didn't get the finish in his last fight against James Yontop? But Matty, what do you think about this fight?
I think James Yontop has a fucking brick for a head, for one.
He does.
I think has he never been finished? Am I accurate saying that?
I don't believe he's ever been KO'd.
I'll tell you one thing. A guy that's as fluent and as good with counter-striking as Mauricio, you don't want to be a guy with your hands down like Bobby Green fucking with head movement against. I think this is the easiest KO of the whole night right here. By far. I'm going Mauricio by KO. What's the number? Even money? Minus money? It's probably minus, isn't it?
It's a good question.
I would be careful going overs on strikes. I think he could be round one.
It's minus 120. Minus 120.
I think this could be Jalen Turner, King Green all written all over again, bro.
Oh, that was fine.
Mauricio usually is going to take his time, but like this matchup, I just think Bobby Green's chin might be cooked, and I think that a guy with his hands down fighting against this guy. He's just so fluent. Like, I think everyone's going to look at, like, we saw the number come back a little bit, right? Because people are looking at that James Longtop fight. But I think this is now the spot to now say, fuck that fight, bro. The fight doesn't matter. And I think Bobby Green is like the worst style to go up against Mauricio. So I'm going Mauricio by KO, probably 1-2.
Yeah, I had the same thing written down here, bro. Ruffy KO 1-2. It's just because of the durability gaps we've seen from Bobby a little bit more recently. Like that you mentioned the Jalen Turner fight, but also the weirdness of that Jared Gordon fight. I get it was a headbutt and it was probably in his favor, but that was weird. And then the Drew Dober fight, he was backed against the cage, knocked out.
That's a good comment, by the way. That's another great point.
He did come in 10 pounds overweight, which really, really does hurt the odds.
Better. Yeah, Bobby Green's going to be – bro, I love this KO. I think minus 120 is a great number. Honestly.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think I'd rather just play 1-2 because I'm of the belief
that's a great comment. Round 2 plus 500. You guys already know I'm going to do a round 2 parlay, and this one's going to be in it for sure.
I like that a lot, but I will say if this fight gets like round 3 headed toward a decision, we saw Bobby Green take the last round off Rafael Fiziev. It could get a little hairy because he's a super high volume guy. If he's absorbed all the power punches, he definitely has numbers on Ruffy. We saw Ruffy lose the last round in his last fight. So I think you get a little bit hairy where you either like Ruffy early to me, or you should probably bet instead Bobby Green's point spread here to potentially take the 3rd round, even if he doesn't win. So like those are the 2 angles. I feel like Ruffy's going to put him out. His distance striking stuff is still so good. 59% striking accuracy, 60% defense. Obviously hasn't surrendered a takedown. I don't think it'll be an issue here, but like Young Top is all heart, chin, cardio, not cutting weight, cough, and Bobby doesn't have all of those things at this point. And like some of his biggest wins recently, Tony Ferguson, ultra washed. Like you go down the list. Who are his good wins, Bobby's recently? Like, does he have any? The Grant Dawson.
Depends how reasonable. Yeah, Grant Dawson. Jim Miller. Don't hate on my guy Jim Miller. I still think
he's 40 something.
Jim Miller still got it though.
Mauricio Ruffy is a killer in his prime and a guy that all of the fighting nerds guys say Ruffy is the most talented among us.
That's crazy to me, bro.
Yeah.
I have him at the bottom. I mean, his striking does look insane. Like it's so fluent and like it gives you like that Conor McGregor style vibe to it, Yeah. But I'll say this: Gene Silva and Kaio are fucking nasty, bro.
I will say I think most consistently great is Kaio, and the most
I have out grappled Brendan Allen in a grapple match. You saw that?
Yeah, I did. And the most surgical.
Hamzat wants no part of Kaio, bro. Kaio will beat Hamzat 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a tough fight.
I actually don't know how Hamzat beats Kaio. I really don't, bro. Like, you're not gonna round 1 choke him the way you're gonna do to some of these other guys. Like, and Hamzat's gonna fade as the fight goes on. Kaio would beat Hamzat. I would take him. I mean, what do you even line that fight, first of all? But I would take Kaio every single time in that matchup.
Hamzat is going to be favored over anybody he gets match made with. That's just kind of the myth and the lore around him at this point. I would play Kaio as a dog in that fight.
Yeah.
Ruffy, we got a comment like I'm worried about his chin and durability with Ruffy. I wouldn't be. Bobby has never been a puncher. He's got a sub 0.4% knockdown rate. It's just not a concern, like he starts Grant Dawson, but Dawson is proven to be chinny in several matchups where
that was bro. Let's be honest.
If Grant Dawson fought King Green 100 times, Grant would win 90.
Winning by ground and pound 8 out of 10 times.
Yeah. Especially this new and improved version, it's just that's why MMA is such a meme, and it may be a good lead in for our potential main event. But it's interesting. Imavov beats Kaio, different matchup, really good takedown defense, striking edge to Imavov. Middleweight's just so interesting. But I think when we get back to this fight, Ruffy 1-2. So if you want to just bet round 1-2, and again, Uncle Austin is always like, maybe if the sub's really long, you just take the round props just in case because of what we saw with Bogdan Guskov. Round 2 is plus 105. FanDuel actually offers KO 1-2 is plus 130. So, like, what's the tangible difference in those numbers to a point where maybe you wouldn't want the sub just in case?
I want nothing. I want zero to do with a sub from these motherfuckers, bro. Zero.
They're going to get us, Matty. They're going to get us with one at some point, bro. They're going to get us.
Zero chance. He could be on Bobby Green's back on the ground, and he's going to be punching his face from below. You know damn well these guys are not chasing these subs, bro. Give me the KO. Right now, it's Mauricio Ruffy KO or Curtis Blaydes KO for the cycle as of right now.
I like them both. It's like picking between my children. I'll have to put some thought into it. I'll have to put
and
some
the numbers are sim. Oh no, but Curtis is plus money.
Yes. Yeah. So we'll have to see how it comes out from a formulaic perspective. But I really do. I think it's a good buy low spot because he didn't get the finish with all those circumstances against him against Yontop, and Green is old and washed and has only beaten old and washed guys. Sorry, Jim Miller. So moving forward here, strawweight, women's strawweight, the only women's fight on the card, by the way. Amanda Lemos taking on Yasmin Lucendo, Matty, and this is a fight that I had circled where I genuinely don't know which side of this fight that you're going to be on. I have seen guys have very strong opinions about both sides of this fight. I haven't betted it all yet. I kind of had an interesting angle that was more of like a for fun type of sprinkle thing, but it's not really legitimate action. So Lucendo, this started around a pick'em. Lucendo's ballooned up a little bit to minus 136 here. I get it. She's 14 years younger. So what do you think about this fight in general, this stylistic matchup?
I love Yasmin Lucendo, bro. I feel like I'm on an island here. Everyone I know, everyone on social, I see everyone taking Amanda Lemos in this fight.
Really?
I don't understand it. I mean, the number has moved a lot, right? Lucendo was a dog.
Way long ago, but I'm talking just this week. Lucendo was short faved to now moderate.
I think this is a perfect matchup for Lucendo. She has striking defense, right? She can get takedowns. I think she can rack up a lot of control time in top position here. Like get takedowns, get on top, be patient. I think Amanda Lemos lost years off her life in that Weili fight. Like I think she's on the back end of her career. I just think, she got subbed by Verna, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what scares me because I wanted to go Yasmin Lucendo by decision in the cycle, or at least consider it here, because I think she's just going to get takedowns and stay on top. I really do. And Amanda Lemos, she'll threaten with off of her back, and she's very slick and she's very powerful on the feet, but she might have small moments in the fight where it's a little scary, but I just think Lucendo is going to win 29-28, maybe even 30-27 in this spot.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, which is kind of like why I'm struggling a little bit with this fight, where the most likely outcome is Lucendo ends up mixing in takedowns. She's the younger fighter. She's the one UFC wants to build, so she gets the decision, right? The problem is that I feel so strongly about this angle that the specific way I would want to play this is if you go on FanDuel and go into the decision no bet market, meaning that if it goes the distance, it voids out, there's no action. You got to be fucking kidding me, man. I pulled this at Lemos was plus 100. Now she's minus 150 to win by finish, if there's a finish.
Yeah. No, I get that. It makes sense.
I liked it at plus 100, minus 150 is now at a value.
I don't think it's that bad at minus 150, truthfully, because I do think Lucendo wins a decision, but I'm telling you, there's going to be moments like Lemos might get a guillotine. Like there's going to be moments there. Maybe a Dars or some crazy shit. Like, what was that fucking stand-in choke?
That was Andrade against Lemos.
Andrade against Lemos. I still can't believe that happened, bro.
Yeah.
That still doesn't make any sense to this day.
Yeah.
But no, I want to see this guillotine number, bro. What would the guillotine number need to be for you to sprinkle on Amanda Lemos here?
Well, I mean, I'm interested. I've got Lemos 8.1% by sub. I don't know what the actual odds are, but I'm interested in her ITD props as a sprinkle here. Lemos is 8-1 by sub, so it's a good number on
the guillotine. That's trash.
Dang, because what I'd love is
30-1 on a Dars.
Now that is interesting because it's the same positional choke, but
yeah. I just see her going for that guillotine though when she's getting taken down. But
that's what she went for against Weili.
The Dars is 30-1. The Anaconda is 50-1. Let me look at her Tapology.
Man, does she have an anaconda in the resume? But it's like, let
What
me
about,
crunch
the Bravo choke is 30-1. I want to look at her Tapology and just see what else she has what else she's won by. Let me take a look.
I don't watch film, right? I have no idea what a Bravo choke was. I couldn't tell you what it looked like.
It's very, I think it's very similar to a fucking Dars. She has a rear naked choke and a guillotine, and then she has third one. It says 2 guillotines and a rear naked choke. It's got to be the guillotine, but it's just 11-1 is trash, bro. Again, I don't think she pulls it off. I really don't think she pulls it off. I could see a Lucendo arm triangle. I actually like that. I know I'm contradicting myself because I just said Lucendo decision. But if Lucendo were to get something, I do think it'd be an arm bar or an arm triangle.
I'm just checking fight to end by sub line.
Andrade, they ruled that an arm triangle choke, a standing arm triangle.
It should have been, yeah. This fight's plus 360 to end by sub in general, either side.
Yeah,
which I think is a pretty darn good number.
Lucendo by arm triangle is 16-1. That is fucking live at that number.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how else she would submit her because, like, you're thinking top control at that point, aren't you?
Bro, she literally she beat Polyana Viana by arm triangle.
Yeah, Viana's a terrible grappler though, bro. Robertson destroyed her.
She has an arm bar, an arm triangle, and then an undisclosed submission back in 2018. I don't know what that was. But the arm triangle is live. Let's think about it. Amanda is so hard to sub unless you get her in an arm triangle.
Can I just point this out there before we start poking individual submission methods?
Yeah.
Is anybody the least bit concerned that Lucendo barely snuck out with a split decision against Marina Rodriguez and Lemos is significantly more powerful and has way better chokes? Is anybody like a little bit concerned about laying minus 140?
That's the argument to why all these people are on Amanda.
Right? I mean, yeah, but I feel, at least from a money perspective. Now, the frustrating thing for me is this fight's in the VIG for me. I've got Lucendo at minus 115, so I'm not showing value on either of these betting lines. And I'm actually showing a tiny smidge of value. I've got it 67.1% likely to go the distance. That's a smidge of value opposite, assuming that it hasn't moved a ton since. Yeah, it's minus 215 to go the distance, so roughly the same neighborhood. So,
right.
I could be talked into violence here.
They have very similar takedown defenses too. Marina and Amanda have like identical takedown defenses.
Yeah. Lemos is interesting in that I feel like she's more willing to. So she did such a masterful job not getting finished on bottom against Weili Zhang, where she's not afraid of bottom position, whereas Marina's had trouble getting up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that Amanda gets taken down easier because of how aggressive she is, whereas like Marina's more willing to like sit back and strike for a while without getting too aggressive.
The thing to remember about those stats though is that Weili absolutely destroyed her takedown defense. Because how many did she get in that fight? It was an obscene amount. You had Weili sub, so you were there along for.
I was fucking devastated, bro. That there was so many. I mean, who knows what the UFC actually like? You know how these official submission attempts are, right? They barely ever give them. But let me take a look at that.
She laid at 6 of 7 takedowns in that fight, and that's the concern.
That's crazy because they gave Weili 0 submission attempts in the fight, like official.
Lemos probably had some.
Lemos had 2.
Yeah,
2 attempts. But you're gonna tell me Weili didn't have attempts? Just like it's just ridiculous how they rule these submission attempts.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there will be times where there's absolutely nothing there according to the commentators, and it does get ruled an official submission attempt. You're so right about that. Right. But like honestly, trying anything is a good tell for me as a stats guy. It's like, hey, they are trying to make a submission happen, even if it sucks. Which tells me a lot. But I just have a hard time finding an angle to bet this fight when I'm like, maybe I'll sprinkle Lemos inside the distance. It's plus 330. I've got it plus 325. So I'm roughly in line everywhere, and I don't really know how to bet this fight, even though I think it's going to be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, it is. I keep going back and forth on it a little bit, but I'm definitely leaning on the Lucendo side here. I just think age is a huge factor. I think damage that Amanda has taken recently, and then Yasmin's not her grappling is good, bro. Like
I think it's a little overrated at this point based on
yeah, but if
competition.
anything, bro, if anything, that split decision can help her career, bro. She's 23. Like the question is, how much better has she gotten since that fight now?
Yeah, I mean,
to the drawing board. Finished product.
I feel like her grappling is a little bit overrated. She failed 4 of 6 against Kowalkiewicz. Historically, not hard to take down. Lucendo got 3 of 4 against Pereira. That was the most impressive one so far. And then 0-2 against Yasmin Hierarchy.
Marilyn has a 74% takedown defense.
I wouldn't be surprised if Lemos is able to keep her feet here, which probably puts her in a good position. So, like, I'll have to see how this line moves to see what I can do with it. But as of right now, I guess it's a pass. Y'all are yapping about this one. Move on. Good point. Let's move on to this third to last fight. How about an absolute banger, Matty? If I still did Fight of the Night on my podcast, this would absolutely be Austin's Fight of the Night. I think it's the best stylistic matchup on the card between two of the longest guys at 155. Jalen Turner, Ignacio Bahamondes. They're huge. They're powerful. They've shown some submission upside. They're not even 30 yet. And therefore, it's one of the closest fights on the card when they're really so similar. Ignacio's was taking a little money. It was a pick 'em on Sunday. He's now minus 130. Matty, are you on board with the Chilean here, or is the Tarantula as an underdog somewhat appealing to you?
I love Ignacio in general. Long term, I think he's a savage. He's fun to watch. He gets finishes. But now that this number has, I just can't help to think this is just too much too soon. And it's like all the advantages Ignacio has over his opposition, he doesn't really have against Jalen Turner. I feel like this is another fight I'm against the whole world on. Everyone I know is on Ignacio here. And I think he has a good chin. He has crazy good striking. He actually has some decent submissions, and he's got good grappling, training with Leal. Mm-hmm. But, dude, Jalen Turner, bro, he was the dark horse of the division, and it's like we kind of like this is kind of a great buy low spot on him. He's still young. You know, he's not washed. He's not old. He said he spent the last year, like, training his ground game ever since that Moicano fight. You know, so which I think is huge for him. The dude he's got such good length, bro. You know, he had some nice submissions earlier on, you know, but he's kind of a strange submission guy, right? Like he snatches shit up, but like at the same time his grappling's not that great, if that makes sense. He's kind of like just a finisher, you know. But no, I'm going Jalen Turner, bro. I honestly don't even know how he gets it done. I think he could hurt him in round 1. Both these guys throw great head kicks. I do lean Ignacio's chin, which is the one thing that's making me a little more hesitant. Like, he's super durable, but I just think Jalen Turner and the experience, and then the recent losses, right, are high-level guys. You know, Gamrot, Moicano, Dan Hooker. How the fuck did Dan Hooker survive that case?
That's crazy. Right? Yeah.
So, like that, the question is, though, Ignacio can probably survive that too, you know? But I'm going Jalen Turner. It's a scary pick, but the odds are the odd. The number's the number, and plus 102 for a guy that's been there and has fought top level guys.
It's better on some sites, by the way, than FanDuel. I would shop around on this number.
Yeah.
I love Jalen Turner here too, bro. And I do feel like we're kind of going against. I feel like we're going against the whole grain. I feel like everybody loves Ignacio in this fight. But like, look at Jalen's 3 losses that everyone's down on him for: Mateusz Gamrot, Manny Moicano, Dan Hooker. Like, it's like, oh my god! Like, Bahamondes had trouble getting through Ludovic Klein, who he had all of this size and length, and his takedown defense completely failed him in that fight. And it probably won't be an issue here. Turner's a guy that I don't even know if he shot a takedown in UFC, but barely has any, about 1.5 attempts per 15 minutes. But Turner's not really a grappler. Like you said, he's more of a hurt you and then front choke kind of guy, which is, by the way, a super fun archetype. Like, if I was going to build a UFC fighter like that fun with in UFC 5, that's the type of archetype I would want to have. I don't know about its effectiveness. And like, I don't feel like Jalen was worse on the ground than Benoit Saint Denis was against Manny Moicano. And the thing about that Moicano fight, if he didn't prematurely celebrate, he probably throws another hammer fist to Moicano and ended his night there. Instead, he did the walk-off thing, right? No. I'm not a Ludovic Klein hater. Hold on. I don't want to get picked as a Ludovic Klein hater, but I'm just saying Jalen Turner is a super dangerous guy inside the rankings. And Matty, I think your point is most notable. Uncomfortably so. We have the reaches the same here. I think that's a mistake. I've got Turner at 77-inch reach, Bahamondes at 75. So like Turner, these guys are both used to be so much longer than their opponents. Yeah. Turner will be the longer guy here. I think that matters when it's such an unusual stylistic matchup. And like Turner to me is a guy that I have always loved him. I don't feel like I have any questions about his chin. He's now gone 3 hard rounds with some of these guys. I think the arrow is still up when Bahamondes has just fought some poor competition recently. Like he's been in matchups where he had almost no chance to lose. It felt like the Christos Jagos fight, Trey Ogden at distance was uncompetitive. Wrong shoe. I mean, he beat Cody Steele, but still not super high on him. Like the Manuel Torres win was the most dominant. It was the quickest one, but we don't know shit about Manuel Torres at this point. He was just El Toro Loco, this guy that came in and got all these early finishes and then turned out to be a little bit of a fraud. We don't know anything about Manuel Torres at this point. So like, I feel like favored status here is nuts. And I'm going to have to crunch some numbers because I've got interesting results as far as like a model perspective. I've got Turner 24.3% by knockout, 14% by decision, 10.3% by submission. So I'm guessing decision is going to show the most value just looking at these numbers because so I've got KO plus 315. I've got sub plus 870, and then I've got decision if I could type correctly. I got decision plus 620. So I'm actually not showing value on any of those. Just because of the VIG and things like that. I mean, I've got him a tiny like coin flip underdog here, which is kind of why maybe inside the distance. I still am looking for the right way to play. Jan, what do you think about? I just don't like a lot of subs on this card. To me, Turner's a guy that has the tendency. I think he could hurt Bahamondes and jump on one. I feel good about Ignacio's chin. What do you think about Turner 7-1 sub?
Yeah, I was looking at the exact subs, and the numbers are trash, dude.
Oh, that sucks.
Trash. I mean, it's hysterical when a book here in Vegas exact sub is like the same number as a FanDuel submission. It's like, it's hilarious. It's like, bro, I'm getting, what is it? I think it was like 8-1 on a guillotine.
Yeah.
All right. 8-1 on a guillotine, 7-1 on rear naked choke. I think Jalen Turner by rear naked choke is super live. You know, he's got to jump on the back. He's done it so many times, dude. 1, 2, 3. He's, I think, 3 or 4 rear naked chokes.
Would you not lean front choke?
Not really in this fight. Not in a striker versus striker matchup. I don't think so.
Am I mistaken? I thought that he hurt Brad Riddell on the feet, and then
it was a mounted guillotine.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. That still counts as a guillotine, right?
Right. Yeah, it does. I just think that I don't know. I think that a rear naked choke is a lot more live in like a club and stuff scenario, or even if they kind of grapple up against the cage, maybe he like backpacks him or something. Yeah, so, I don't know, but I mean, we'll see how much grappling's even in this fight. You know.
Yeah,
guys, get this little peasant off the show. Yeah, we get paid by the bookies. Get the fuck out of here.
I mean, I am actually paid by a sports book, but like it's
You're
my job.
You're employed by FanDuel, but
yeah.
Anybody in the industry that honestly believes that people are giving out picks to purposely make people lose is the biggest fucking idiot on the planet. These sports books don't need anybody to feed you guys picks to lose. Like, how stupid can you be?
Yeah, and like realistically, so. Think of it from this perspective and what I've always been told about my job. If we're doing really well on an article, we get 10,000 clicks. We maybe get 2,000 people that actually read the article. That is such a small percentage of traffic for like who's betting Celtics Warriors in prime time that like they want me to get those picks right because it's positive association for the brand. But nobody's ever told me to bet anything in UFC. In fact, Matty and I were joking about this yesterday. FanDuel doesn't really focus a lot on UFC, you know, like some of the offerings and stuff like that. Like it's
for somebody to say that we purposely send someone to bet a losing pick. If we knew a pick was a losing pick, wouldn't we just bet the fucking winning pick?
Yeah.
And like win that way? Like how stupid can people be, bro?
Instead, Matty and I are in the hole to begin the year, but looking to dig out. Again, I'm telling you, man, the summer is coming and it's going to be a good one for us. So Turner, not exactly sure. Like, does 7-1 interest you at all in a sub? I assume it's a better number than whatever book you were looking at there.
Yeah, no, I think it's a solid number. The thing is, Ignacio's like kind of got underrated grappling though.
He does. I mean, he had that. I remember he submitted wrong Jew, right, in the third round.
Yeah. I do think that if Turner gets on his back, I do think it would be hard to stop a rear naked choke.
Yeah. The thing that scares me a little bit about Turner is the Bahamondes improvement window, working with a guy in Bilal, really good cardio. In general, I feel better about his head defense. Like, I haven't bet this fight yet. I picked Turner, like, in our expert picks and stuff like that. Yeah. But, like, I'm hoping the number moves more toward Ignacio, but it actually inched a little bit toward Turner. And it's just because I think it's hard to set some guy as a prohibitive favorite in this one.
Yeah, it's tough. It is a tough fight. I'm not running to the counter and saying Jalen Turner is the bet. I'm just saying I do believe it's a little bit of a buy low spot. He's had some time off.
Yeah.
Worked on his grappling. And he just has the skill set that opposition just hasn't had when they're fighting Ignacio, and mainly the length, the length and the striking. Yep. I mean, let's not forget a couple years ago, we're like, oh, Jalen Turner is the dark horse of this division, and then he loses to some grapplers, and now he's in a striking matchup. It's kind of like this is a buy low spot. It might be too much too soon for Ignacio, but at the same time, I know he's the real deal, so it's tough.
Again, I don't want to be anti-Ludovic Klein guy, but with huge reach advantage, -2 striking differential at distance against Ludovic Klein, it's like Turner's a lot longer and a lot more powerful. I'd be careful. Be careful.
Klein's powerful. Klein's legit, though.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen KO is the shortest outcome in this fight for FanDuel. It's very interesting.
That is crazy.
Bahamondes hasn't even been KO'd in UFC, I'm sure, right?
He definitely hasn't.
Yeah, it's a weird set of props.
He's very durable. He's never been KO'd in his career. He's been subbed twice. But a long time ago. 2017, rear naked choke. And then 2016, Preston Parsons armbar.
No, I'm not a Ludovic hater. Quit pinning me as one. I'm not a Ludovic hater. I'm just saying he's a little bit on the short. And he used to fight at 145. Okay, so the size things.
Klein versus Turner is a completely different match.
Well, yeah, I mean, so Klein used to fight at 145. Turner has fought at 170. Like, he fought Vicente Luque at 170. So, like, they are two weight classes apart of what they've made. So, I'm not crazy. And I'm not a hater. So, we'll move on here. Co-main event time, Matty. I saw which way you're leaning based on the money line parlay that you're floating out there on social media, and like, I can't blame you for it. This is super interesting line movement here because Rafael Fiziev steps in for Dan Hooker on short notice here. Kind of starts in that pick'em territory. We've seen these guys fight before. Now he's up to -178 against Justin Gaethje as we sit here on Friday or Thursday. I forgot what day it is. Thursday, and it's climbing. So, what do we think about this fight here? Gaethje won the first fight. It was by a very close decision that could have gone one way or another. Is it more of the same in the second one, or will the second one have more of a definitive outcome?
I'm Rafael Fiziev here all day long. I asked myself, do I want the guy off a knee injury or the guy that just got beat up for 25 minutes and put to sleep? And the answer is the knee injury. I get the younger guy. We don't even know what Gaethje's like. When Gaethje walks into that octagon, we don't even know what he's going to feel like. Is he going to be timid? This is a guy that's been in so many wars and never has been put to sleep like that. Like, obviously Habib's choked him out, but like, nobody has flatlined him dead. Like, you just don't know how he's going to recover after that. And now, after you got put to sleep and beat down on the feet for 25 minutes, you're fighting an elite striker as you're coming back into things.
Yeah.
I'm going Rafael here.
Yeah. I think it's interesting in that how much do you think these guys have changed since their last fight, where Gaethje, it feels like Fiziev maybe got a little bit tired down the stretch in that fight. That fight was on a full camp for both of these guys, but this is short notice. I modeled this, and again, I don't have a short notice adjustment. I don't even know who would benefit here because Gaethje was training for a fight. Fiziev, did they have Fiziev penciled in against someone else and mismatch it up. Yeah, I didn't remember if he was
I don't
training.
think so. I don't think he had a fight.
He's been on Twitter. Yeah, he's been on Twitter asking for a fight for a while.
Yeah.
So, like I got Gaethje a -115 favorite here. So it's really very close to how I modeled the first one, honestly. And it's not surprising when they've aged at the same difference. Fiziev, a little bit of ring rust here. Like you mentioned, the ACL hasn't fought in quite a while. And the thing is, I've just never been a super high Rafael Fiziev guy. Like he had some of these flashy kicks and knockouts and things of that sort as he was moving up the competition ladder. But overall, he's 32, doesn't have a lot of ranked experience, just a 0.39% knockdown rate. So he hasn't really dropped very many guys at all. I mentioned earlier with King Green, he lost the third. Bobby Green took the third round off him pretty handily, and he's always kind of had some of these cardio worries. I don't feel like I get that with Gaethje, but I think, Matty, you make a good point about the attrition, the chin. Heck, if he loses this fight, is he retiring? He's 36. Like, it's not crazy to think he might walk away entirely if he gets put out in this fight. You know, it's like
he's saying some things that are a little bit concerning, like just talking about like being healthy. But this is his whole life, bro. I don't think he's not married. I don't think he has kids.
Yeah.
I don't, right?
I don't believe he's married with Kay. Like I've always assumed he was kind of a lifer in the game, that type of thing as well. Like he's wrestled in college, and it's funny. Both of these guys have said they're going to be more aggressive and they're going to bring the boom. But I think when you're standing across from Gaethje's right hand or Fiziev's kick, you maybe played a little bit safer. I've modeled this one 62.2% likely to go the distance. So I love this fight to go the distance plus money. Either side. So Fiziev or Gaethje, I could see. I mean, Fiziev almost won the decision. Some people think he did win the decision in the first one. My primary play I had circled here was the over. I definitely, with Gaethje models a favorite, have to really consider if I want to bet him in this spot. How much do I want to bet him? How do I want to bet him? I've got him a little bit more likely to win a decision just based on the numbers he puts out there. And that's what happened last time. Do I want to play the exact same angle as last time? I feel like the price is good enough that I kind of do. It's an interesting fight, Matty, but if you're just straight picking Fiziev, I can't blame you at all.
Yeah. I like Fiziev by KO decision, obviously. I don't know. I kind of like Fiziev by decision.
It's plus 240. It's the second most likely outcome.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of Fizievs, like even the one, like, I know people say this is biased to me, but I thought the Moicano KO was like a quick stoppage. You didn't, like, even the commentators said like he went right to the ground on the knockdown and didn't even give him a chance to recover. He just yelled stop and jumped in. And then you have to ask yourself, like, the wheel kick, Brad Riddell round 3, RDA knockout was in round 5.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, how do you feel about Rafael's like power? Like, obviously
it's not good.
He's got elite speed and striking, but it's, maybe a body kick though. I do feel like he could land a big body kick against Justin.
Well, there's that video that went around on TikTok of Gaethje getting dropped by
that's exactly what I was thinking about. Is that crazy?
But I mean, he took like 4 in a row at full power from his sparring partner. So I'm like, well, maybe you dropped to the 4th one, but like at the same time, I think he was conditioning that for the Hooker fight because Dan will sneak in those liver shots. It's a different matchup because or Hooker's more orthodox. He'll switch it up. Fiziev more of a southpaw type of fighter. He'll also switch a little bit, but Gaethje is just. It was weird how flat he seemed in the Holloway fight. I think he was favored in that fight, if I remember correctly, and he just never had anything for Max. When a lot of people did some MMA math and thought, "Hey, Poirier dominated Holloway. Gaethje has now put away Dustin. It'll probably be Justin," but that matchup just never seemed to suit him. I think he's pretty comfortable in the Fiziev one. I've never been a huge fan of Fiziev's cardio or his head defense, and now he's 32, and now he's got ring rust, and now I see the price going up, and I'm like, no, thank you. I think I Gaethje or pass. And if you like Fiziev by points, I get that. I totally understand it, and we'll play the over, and we'll root for a war, I guess.
Yeah, he could win 2 rounds to 1, bro. Because I thought when they first made this fight, I thought there was still going to be a 5-rounder.
Yeah, and that could have been a wild card as to who ended up winning that.
Yeah, I actually think that favors Justin more. As crazy as that sounds, if it was a 5-rounder, I think the 3-rounder favors Rafael here, bro.
I mean, we saw Gaethje beat the brakes off Ferguson for 25 minutes. So, like, he's got the 25-minute experience, whereas Fiziev, I guess Fiziev found that 5th-round knockout against RDA, but that's always been my qualm with Fiziev is that he's not been fighting the best of the best at 155 like Gaethje has been. Like, he didn't fight Holloway. He hasn't fought even a guy like Chandler. He didn't fight. He had the Moicano fight, but it was over so quickly with what I also felt was an early stoppage. It's like kind of a hard time identifying exactly where he's stands up at this lightweight division, you know? So.
Yeah.
Okay. All righty, man. Why don't we move on? We'll put a bow on it. We got a little long today. We appreciate you guys hanging in there. It is time for us to discuss the main event. And what a main event it is, if I could pull up the slide here. Again, new computer. I'm trying to learn everything. I feel so old today. But Alex Pereira taking on Magomed Ankalaev. And funny enough, this has become the closest betting line on the card in the main event. Poatan, I mean, what can you say about him at this point? The way he has floored Yuri Prochazka twice, the Jamal Hill fight, the Israel Adesanya. Really, if he doesn't make a mistake against the cage, it's very possible he's won 8 in a row against like 7 former champions or something absolutely crazy for a guy that was profiled as a one-dimensional kickboxer. Now here's a new challenge. A guy in Magomed Ankalaev that's wrestled a little bit. He's from Dagestan. He's got the beard. Is it Chama or no Chama? And Matty, I love your thinking, your new rule on betting Alex Pereira. So why don't you tell the people what it is?
Yeah, bro. I had Jamal Hill on the podcast, a year ago now, less than a year, whatever it was. And he swayed my pick. He was so confident. I go to that fight, UFC 300. I bet Jamal Hill like a fucking idiot. And he's out cold with a left hook. I'll tell you one thing right now, bro. Go watch the footage on Magomed Ankalaev. That left hook is so live. He puts his hand down so often. There's actually clips on TikTok and YouTube. You go check it out. He like notoriously is like dropping that right hand all the time. And all it's going to take, Magomed can be winning this fight, but all it's going to take is one moment for Poatan to change the whole fight here. And here's the thing, bro. I don't look at Magomed Ankalaev as a Dagestani wrestler. I just don't. It's just not in his blood, dude. He just doesn't do it. Like he can get takedowns, he can get control time. But when is this guy subbing people? You know, and then the next round, it's back on the feet. And we see Poatan lose fights until he wins in 5-rounders, right? We see he'll drop a whole round and stay safe. You know, or he'll take a round off and get his gas tank back. We saw that in the Izzy 1 fight, where you know he said round 4 I'm not going to do shit. I'm going to get my gas tank back. Comes out round 5, finds the finish. I like Poatan inside the distance. I do think I actually like 3, 4, 5. Like I think that he could even drop 1 or 2 rounds early here if Magomed does get a takedown, or even without a takedown, he could drop rounds on the feet here. But I like Poatan by late finish here. I think if he gets an early finish, I'm telling you, I know everyone's gonna tell me I'm a piece of shit, but guillotine early, bro. If he takes it, so I know it's crazy. It's a crazy long shot. The odds suck, so you can't even bet it. I tried to find the number here; it was terrible. But in all seriousness, I think Poatan wins inside the distance. I want to play the round 3, 4, 5. I really do. I think he's going to – a lot of people are saying he's going to get an early finish, but you know what's crazy, bro, is, Circa here, which is like a market-making book.
Okay.
They stuck that Poatan line at -105, and they have not moved it. Like
KO or –
No, Poatan money line.
Wow, interesting.
You can find -105 anywhere right now.
Definitely not FanDuel. Yeah.
I'm on the Circa app right now, bro. Or let me check again because I looked earlier today. Because my buddy flying in, he's like, dude, I just bet Poatan on Circa at -105. I'm like, -105? It's very telling, and it scares the shit out of me that Circa is probably taking a lot of action on Poatan, and they're not moving that number off of -105. That scares the shit out of me. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, I mean, this is
-105, bro. I don't think you can see that, but the top Poatan is -105 on Circa. So if I bet him, that's where I have to go. Let me see. The sub on Circa is 20-1, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm so all of that positioning, and I've heard like betting splits about Pereira and things like that. Like they are wrong so often about some of this stuff. Like the public, since gambling has become legal in so many states, like there's sports books, including my employer, that release statements and they cite like revenue losses because of customer friendly results. That's because the public's been mowing in for like 2 or 3 years across all sports, NFL, UFC. Like how many times has Poetan won in a row as like a short favorite? Like, and he's like the guy everybody's always betting. Like I
saw the one of the traders at, I think it was Superbook or one of these sports books.
Yeah.
And he came out and said that like all the money is on Ankalaev. I'm like,
yeah,
there's no fucking way. That's crazy to me.
Which almost makes you think like, are they trying to entice the public? Are they trying to grab public money on Poetan just to offset some of that sharp money on like and like
believe that though? Like everyone's betting Poetan, bro. I mean, not, but like, do we really believe like 80+% of the money in tickets are on Ankalaev here?
Yeah. I feel like light heavyweight is almost messed up because Alex Pereira was, I believe, susceptible to a wrestling matchup maybe 2 years ago. But he has actually now had time to develop an MMA skilled takedown defense. And like I am growing and actually tweaking and evolving my model to a point where we saw with Asu Almabayev last week, if you are not having success with your striking, it is really easy to defend takedowns in this. Like the game is out. Like a guy like Khabib would not be as nearly as dominant today as he was in his era because guys have gotten so good at a long the fence takedown defense. And Alex Perez is very good on analytically. It's about 71%. And I was shocked that I have Pereira minus 135 as a favorite here. I've got it about 46.2% likely to go the distance. So I love like 4-5 decision as a type of play for Pereira. And the reason why is Ankalaev, very good head defense, 58% striking D, as well as he's never been KO'd in UFC. And like, I don't see Pereira as this super powerful guy as much as he's about placement. He's about timing. And some of the guys that he's fought, Jamal Hill was dropped a bunch by Yuri, right? Yuri doesn't have any head defense at all. Like some of these guys had it coming. I feel like Ankalaev is significantly more responsible, but it is a tough sell for me and a guy in Ankalaev who is not very comfortable getting takedowns. He only averages about 3 attempts per 15 minutes, lands a mediocre 31% of those. And Matty, as you mentioned, he has never attempted a UFC official submission attempt. So he will be fighting opposite his normal strengths here if he's going to take a wrestling heavy approach. And the thing that you have to be concerned about is, does he get tired as this fight progresses if he's having to wrestle a lot, right? The one fight you can flip on and say did a great job grappling was the Nikita Krylov fight, and that is an impressive win in that domain. But Krylov has also kind of had trouble getting up to this area of heavyweight, right? Like Paul Craig was able to sub him. Like Krylov is not perfect on the Ryan Spann almost subbed Krylov, if you remember before. Spann did what Spann always does, it feels like. By the way, we got heavyweight Ryan Spann on deck next week, so we'll get to talk about that. But
who's he fighting?
Waldo Cortez Acosta.
Oh, he's fucked.
I disagree. I think he's going to sub Cortez. Okay, we'll get to it next week. That's a little teaser for next week.
Oh, you think Ryan Spann's going to sub Cortez?
I do. I think he can sub a lot of guys at heavyweight, dude. I love Ryan Spann. It's a flaw of mine. But at the end of the day, I don't feel like Ankalaev fighting left-handed here. The odds are about right. I would make Pereira a decent size favorite. And like, he's also, your rule about this is you would rather lose money betting on Alex Pereira than feel like an idiot when he starts as a guy with a left-hand counter again. And it's like, I feel the same way when Pereira has proven time and time again, his leg kicks are different. His accuracy is different. And it's starting to reflect on the stat sheet to a point where my model picked it up. And I think Poetan, this to me feels like a fake sharp trap about Ankalaev and the grappling upside and all that stuff, because he's not particularly good at it. And Pereira might be better at defending them than we think.
Yeah, I agree, bro. I couldn't agree more with everything you just said. So I'm in Vegas. I've talked to a couple guys that like are, so Poetan was on the strip last night. He got like, he got like pulled over by a cop and took a picture and shit.
Sure.
But like, apparently Poetan's like really pissed off about the things Magomed's been saying, like about the alcohol and all this shit when he's been sober for years. And like, I think the dude feels disrespected in this fight. I really do. I just refuse to bet against him. There's no chance I would bet against him. Zero.
Well, Well, can I throw another thing out there that I thought about this week? Remember, Ankalaev got his leg chewed up by Jan Blachowicz. That's why he started wrestling late in that fight. The thing is, Jan doesn't have nearly as good of leg kicks as Pereira. Pereira will deaden that leg within 3 minutes.
Bro, and right when Magomed starts focusing on stopping the leg kicks, that's when the left hook comes.
Yeah.
It's like Poatan he just sets shit up. He
does.
So calculated. Izzy talks about this in his interviews. He's like, bro, people don't realize. I mean, look at the Sean Strickland fight. Punches to the body, setting it up, everything, then boom, one left hook. Ankalaev has just not fought this style of striking. He's fought explosive strikers like Johnny Walker, Rakic, Thiago Santos. He hasn't fought an elite striker that has an actual strategy and like sets things up and is doing things intentionally for a purpose. And I just think that, and I actually think Poatan will fight a little bit off his back foot in this fight.
Yeah.
Because he'll keep his back up against the cage. So he use that cage to like defend takedowns and stuff. I don't see him like going forward like crazy early in this fight the way he did against like a Jamal Hill. So I don't know. At the end of the day, I'm not fading Poatan. It's just not happening. I agree with everything you said. I think there's some fake sharp shit here. The only thing I told you that kind of scares me is Circa holding that number because these fuckers at Circa know what they're doing, bro.
I think it's as simple as they need public money to offset the immense amount of sharp action they're getting on Ankalaev as a bookmaker book.
That's fair.
I think it's that simple.
You just nailed it. Yeah.
It's almost like I do this for a living. But another thing that I want to mention about Ankalaev, then we'll move on. We'll build some parlays. Is that remember when we all bet Strickland? At least I did against Pereira on the thoughts of I'm like, well, I know he's got wrestling skills. Everyone says he's got wrestling skills, and his numbers and his stats say that he didn't have the tendency to do it and do it very well. But I trusted him to do it, and then he ended up all of a sudden not doing it. It's kind of second nature for Ankalaev. It's not something he does not want to do it. Like fighter stats tell you who they are. You can believe them or not. And number two is this fight could absolutely suck because both of these guys are counter strikers and we could see like 15 significant strikes total per round. And it's a very close, uneventful decision. It's also very possible given that Pereira's fought some aggressive guys. Yuri's aggressive. Jamal is aggressive. Khalil Roundtree is aggressive. Ankalaev is a counter striker. So this fight could be very long, very prolonged, delayed. I kind of like the decision angle here, Matty, if you're interested at all, and I probably am showing value on it just because I'm so in line with the total compared to odds makers. But I think this could be a close, uneventful decision. Honestly, if it's a decision, it goes the distance. Give me Poatan. Striker versus potential wrestling upside. I like Poatan in that situation.
Yeah. What's the decision?
Oh, yeah. Good question. It is. It's got to be huge. Yeah, it's plus 650.
Dude, that's the same fucking number when I bet Poatan by decision against Jan Blachowicz. But those championship rounds are different, bro. If this is a 3-round fight, I'm taking Poatan 2 rounds to 1 on a decision. I'm just not willing to lay the decision when there's rounds 4 and 5. He's different in those late rounds, dude.
Yeah. We talk all the time about cycles. We're like, we want durable guys, opposite guys we think are going to be the more efficient fighters, right?
Right.
I feel like that's Ankalaev here in this spot where he's shown to be so durable. He hasn't been knocked out in UFC. I know we meme about Pereira. Pereira, by the way, I actually have a pulse on submission because of that submission attempt he has on his resume. So it's Ankalaev
attempts than Ankalaev. Ankalaev is 0 submission attempts.
That is so crazy.
I don't really sure that he's a Dagestani wrestler. Like he's 0 submission attempts, bro.
Yeah. And like you said, something about fighting this fight during Ramadan. Does he take the smartest approach? Who knows? We'll have to see how it goes.
He hasn't been fasting recently, apparently. So
okay,
you know that?
Yeah, I saw.
So
okay, yeah, I saw that he wasn't super strict about it. I didn't know that it was to that level, but I'm not super familiar with it anyway. But Matty, why don't we move on to challenging parlay time? We'll see if we can come to some sort of consensus. We want to go safe first, brother.
Go ahead.
All righty. So I like Josh Van. Mentioned that was kind of like the one leg that I had any sort of certainty. He's minus 192 on FanDuel right now. And then from there, it is anybody's guess.
I have something you probably like. You go fight to end in a knockout in the Curtis Blaydes fight.
Oh.
How will fight end?
Now that's interesting.
KO minus 130. And then you call it a day. You got a nice little two-legger there for a safe parlay.
Yeah, I don't know if Kuniev is the type of guy I want to throw into a safe parlay. I don't know anything about him for the most part. I was kind of want to go. This might be a little weird, but I was kind of want to do Morono and Leal doesn't go the distance, which is scary because no, I don't want to do that. That's Leal's got decision equity for sure.
Yeah. What about like what's this? Oh.
Like I don't even feel comfortable with the women's MMA over.
No, yeah, both sides can get submissions. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah. Maybe I'll look at a fight I like. I really wish the Gutierrez Castaneda total was on the board because I know I'm gonna like the over there. I have it at like 75%.
Yeah.
But it's not on the board last minute.
You could take like a fight to start round 2 type of leg or something, you know, like some.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I was
saying
thinking
like
about
in general on any of these fights, like as a leg.
I was looking at Gaethje Fiziev, perhaps. Let me look at fight starts. So fight starts round 2 is minus 460 in the Pereira Ankalaev fight. Round 3 is minus 200. I think that's a fair number. I'm talking about. I should put my money where my mouth is because my model really likes that. I've almost got it slightly under a coin flip that it goes the distance. So. Okay, I think I'm going to go with that, Matty. Get us to plus 120. I'm going to go Josh Van money line. Pereira Ankalaev starts round 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. The submission leg's going to be the hardest leg for this card again.
Yep.
Cycle. I got to use a restroom, boys. I want everyone in the comments right now. Drop your favorite submission leg of the card. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Should I prepare my here?
Prepare. Yes, bro. Right back.
Now we got a long shot parlay. You pick one long shot, I pick one, and we put it in a parlay. Method of victory.
Don't we both like span sub 7-1?
Yeah, we do.
What about McGee sub at 8-1?
The thing is, bro, you print money just taking Tim Means to lose by submission. It really is crazy.
That's plus 7,100 right there, those two together.
And believe me, Kevin, the only problem you're going to have is that you didn't
bet more.
Sound fair enough?
Shit, my wife might divorce me, but yeah, let's do it.
I didn't know we had that second one in our. So what are you thinking for this? So KO, we talked about Blaydes or Ruffy. Where do you lean on that right now?
I like Curtis Blaydes by KO.
You feel better about Ruffy though? We had more consensus there.
It's very close, and it's like a 40-cent difference on Curtis Blaydes. Like it's a better number.
Yeah.
You know, I do feel better about Ruffy though, just because I feel like Bobby Green, hands down against Ruffy, is just the worst style. I feel like Ruffy's gonna catch him in round 2. So I'm in on Ruffy KO as leg 1.
Okay. And it's at minus 120, and we're going to probably get a lengthy sub anyway. So
100%. Yeah.
I'm putting these
KO leg number 1. Let's go to the decision.
Okay.
I feel like we have a couple options here. Do we have Josh Van as an option? We have Yasmin Lucendo as an option.
Could you throw the safe parlay up there for me, buddy? From the comment section. I'm having trouble again with Telegram. So
yeah. There you go.
Thank you, buddy. All righty. So Lucendo, Josh Van decision. I love 2-3, but God, Poetan would be sick.
Leaning Lucendo. I've liked the man's ability to survive off her back, like in the Whaley fight.
What is Lucendo decision?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I've got it plus 125.
Plus 140 on FanDuel.
Oh shit! There you go.
Yeah. So these first two legs are very small numbers, but the sub is going to carry this fucking cycle if it hits.
Yeah.
Well, I do think I'm going to go Lucendo decision here.
Model approved.
Yeah, I just think she'll do enough, and she'll get the takedowns. She'll stay on heavy on top, land some damage, avoid the submissions from Lemos off her back, avoid the big power on the feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think there was. I mean, you could go Rafael Fiziev as a decision leg option, but you just worry about Justin after the KO. Plus 240 on Fiziev decision. I think I'd rather go Lucendo there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm just surprised. That basically means my model's saying Lucendo's too big of a favorite, but that's just too much giving her credit for inside the distance, which I agree with. I mean, she goes to a decision with Rodriguez in her last fight. It's just not what I was expecting. So I might have found an angle to play in that fight that makes a lot of sense. And then
I might have a sneaky sub here.
Let me see what I got. Hey, I'm gonna check.
Honestly, bro, I'm considering Bruno Ferreira.
Yes, dude, that's exactly what I was checking. Now I'm not showing. I will say I'm not showing value.
Plus 750 is a. If he just from the minute round one starts, if he just said, "I'm gonna fucking grapple this guy. I'm gonna shoot takedowns. I'm gonna be explosive." I mean, we saw Rodolfo Vieira get it done. Obviously, that's just a different level of jiu-jitsu with Rodolfo. But we saw Petrosyan get subbed back in February against Rodolfo Vieira. It was an arm triangle choke. That was right before round one ended, wasn't it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. 12 seconds to go in round one. He got arm triangle. I mean, the thing is like we could go a Jalen Turner route, but Ignacio's looked good with his grappling, training with Bilal. This is a tough one.
I think that's a tougher sell, especially when you're like you said I think it's more likely a back choke, and I said I think it's more likely a front choke, and neither are particularly likely. So it's tough. Yeah. It's tough.
Right.
This is a really tough card for submissions. We always do a cycle, and keep it in mind. I'm kind of Ferreira by default. I still will say the other one that I think is a total long shot dart built on maybe Santos can't grapple is Francis Marshall.
Yeah. I was just looking at that. Yeah, I think Bruno Ferreira has the most out of all the sub options. He has the biggest mismatch stylistically with grappling.
Yeah, and that's going to be on my card. I'm going to play sub decision the tiniest sprinkle at sub. But it's to me, it is telling that Ferreira, by the way, 0.5 attempts per 15 minutes. So he's put the submission tendency out there against a guy in Petrosyan.
What was the number?
0.5 attempts per 15 minutes. That's almost one per fight on average.
Yeah. I mean, Petrosyan's only been knocked out twice. I mean, I get he's only been stabbed once. But it's just like you have such an advantage.
Yes.
Don't get into a slugfest with him, bro.
A lot of his regional tape showed more wrestling and jiu-jitsu than I would have expected. And then he just hasn't had a lot of luck with it. Now, he fought Stoltzfus, a guy that is very hard to take down and submit. You can ask some of his, Stoltzfus was beating Mearshart for a bit when those two guys fought. And then who else has he faced? Phil Hawes, hard guy to take down in general, easier to just knock out his dust chin. Ruzaboyev flattened him before that fight really could even proceed very far forward, and then
I think that was a fluke.
Agreed, and then the RoboCop knockout came early, but you're probably not submitting RoboCop anyway. This is a totally game matchup for it. I know Rodolfo Vieira is so much higher level of a sub guy than Bruno, but it makes me feel like Petrosyan's been fighting a lot of Christian Leroy Duncan. The one that makes no sense, Caio didn't sub him. Caio didn't sub Armin Petrosyan in 15 minutes.
Yeah, but Caio doesn't we've been over this.
Okay, do we think Caio averages more subs per 15 than Bruno? If you had to guess.
I'm gonna guess that he does since you're asking me that question, but I would say no.
It's the exact same.
Yeah.
0.5.
Yeah.
I would lean with minimal conviction Ferreira. Ferreira is probably going to be the only sub prop that hits my card in any fashion.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone asked why we're not looking at who was it?
Tsuruya?
Yes. And
because we love Josh Finn.
We just love Josh Finn's takedown defense and him in general.
How could you watch that Durden fight and think Tsuruya is going to take down and submit Josh Finn? How can you do that?
Yeah. I agree, bro. I mean, it'll be very impressive if he does, though. How do you feel about Armin's takedown defense?
It's awful. It's the worst at middleweight, minimum 5 fights, 31%. It's terrible.
Yeah. All right, let's fucking do it.
Let's do it. Let's send it. I agree with you.
You have to, it's just, again, to me, it just feels like the biggest mismatch stylistically out of all these submission options. I'm down for it.
I'm down for it too.
All right, we're looking at.
So we got Ruffy KO, Lucendo decision.
Bruno
and
sub.
all
36-1 plus 36.40.
We'll have to take a trip to Rio if it hits, Matty. We got all Brazilians in the cycle this week.
Yeah, but Bruno has 3 submissions, bro.
Yep,
he has 3 submissions. I think it's a little different than Gene Silva. Gene Silva was a dumb pick because he didn't have any attempts. Bruno is attempting submissions, and he has submission wins in the UFC.
You put it all together, it's plus 36.40, so a little over 36-1 for the cycle.
Yeah.
You want to send it so we can put it up there for everybody?
Really, he doesn't have a submission in the UFC, does he?
Who, Bruno?
Yeah.
No. Well, he's had attempts. He doesn't have a submission win
right.
in the UFC.
He had right before the UFC, the triangle choke and then a rear naked choke.
He's allegedly a black belt. That's what I heard even going back to the Contender Series and stuff.
Yeah.
He just has been knocking people out left and right.
Yeah,
so,
no, for sure.
Hey, I agree with you. It's a totally different tendency argument than John Silva. I think it's way different.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we send it now, Matty. Sometimes we've gone off the show and you've gone on and done it, and we just haven't. I agreed with your cycle last week. The
problem is what's the better option? If someone can legitimately pitch me a better option, I'm open to it.
Yeah, you really want to take Jalen Turner as a slight underdog in a striking match? You want to play 7? It's not even a better number on Turner, and a totally different opportunity.
Yeah. Hey, you go Alex Morono, fucking 20-1.
I'm done with Fortis. I'm done with Morono.
24-1 for Alex Morono by submission.
Just play. Just play the front chokes and stuff, whatever you want. But Leal hasn't. I don't think Leal's been submitted as a pro. I have his resume pulled up here.
He looked like a monster.
He's got 1 submission loss in his career, long ago. I'm looking. It was one of those that's not even listed on Topology back in 2014, July 2014. I was a freshman in college the last time Leal was submitted.
Jalen Turner does interest me a little, though. It does interest me just because, since the Moicano fight, it said all he's been working on is his grappling. He does have submission wins in the UFC. He is fighting an elite striker. I'm still 50-50, bro. I can't tentatively. I just can't definitively say that that's the cycle, but
maybe we do wait because Turner's number might get better than plus 750, and if I could get plus 850, then it's in model range.
Yeah. What's Turner's? Tell me the numbers on Turner, bro.
It's plus 7. Oh, his tendencies. It's much higher. It's 1.1 attempts per 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's got quite a few conversions on the wins. But I don't believe Bahamondes has been submitted in UFC.
I think he has. Yeah, he has. He's been subbed once.
It must have been regionally, right?
Looking now. Yeah, he was a rear naked choke at Island Fights 40, 2017. He's been subbed twice.
I feel like
I think he did go to the distance with Trey Ogden, though.
Right. That fight was exclusively at distance. Like Ogden wasn't able to get him to the ground, and Ignacio just stayed on his feet. So
Yeah. The thing with Jalen Turner is I don't think he's going to really have success like shooting like a takedown. It's more
and he
just-
hasn't historically. And well, think of his frame. He's not a guy that's going to wrestle a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
different
Jalen
in this matchup though.
Yeah. I mean, Jalen Turner isn't getting like submissions from like takedowns. It's more like guillotines or like club and subs, shit like that.
Yeah. Tough
Mm,
week for a sub again. It's just
for sure. It is for sure. All right. I'm sorry to do it to everyone, but
we're waiting again.
I'm not ready to solidify the cycle tonight. I will put it out tomorrow. I'm gonna spend some time on it.
We got a safe parlay that I love. Josh Fan money line fight to start round 3 in the main event. Pereira Ankalaev. I think it's going to be a boring staring contest. So thank you guys so much for joining us. I appreciate every one of you guys tuning in. We'll have another card from the Apex next week, most likely, and then we'll move from there. Long stretch UFC. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys' best hit. Keep an eye on socials for the cycle. Until next time. Hope y'all bets catch. Let's go.
Fresh.